This episode of Digital Photography Cafe is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your DSLR camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe. I'm Trevor Current, your digital marketing guy.
And I'm Joseph Cristina, your professional photographer.
So grab a latte, pull up a chair, and join us as we chat about the art and business of photography.
So hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Last week we talked about the new timeline design coming to your Facebook pages and the Canon 5D Mark III. If you haven't listened to last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it on iTunes or listen in your car through Stitcher Radio, or simply head over to the website, digitalphotographycafe.com, and listen online.
So Joe, we are back, episode 44.
Wow. Is it 44?
44.
45? 40 something?
Yeah,
Is it
44? 44. Got a beautiful day in the Northwest. Actually, the Northeast, right?
Yeah,
I don't think I want to be in the Northwest. That's always rainy.
Yeah. Yeah, you have enough bad weather going on over there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, not
But
today.
You said it's
got
actually
like
not
70
bad.
and sunny today. It's beautiful out. Not bad for March weather, that's for sure.
That is not bad at all. Down here we have like pouring rain. It's absolutely just crazy out. People are driving like nuts. And kind of interesting is we had that, they were talking about the solar storm or something,
right?
Going on the sun. That was kind of like really kind of crazy. I'm like, it's 2012. I hope we're not dead yet, but
no, we got a few more months.
Yeah, and I was looking at that, and matter of fact, I'm playing a video of it right now. I just found a NASA site, which is just so cool. I'm like, man, it's amazing. These flares shoot out like the plasma, and you see like a ripple go through the entire size of the sun just from this explosion. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, this is what they were saying. From like between 1 o'clock and 5, I think, a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they were saying that we're going to be hit with these plasma, whatever it is, and I don't know, radiation waves, and it's going to hurt GPS and phones and all kinds of stuff. I tell you what, I don't know if that was the case, but I can tell you for sure. Normally, I speak to my wife on the way to work in the morning. Today, I called her, and we were dropping the call like 5 times during like a 2-minute phone call, just back and forth, having to call her back over and over and over. I'm like, geez, maybe that's what this is. Something's
Yeah, it could be, right?
We all know AT&T sucks. So I don't know if it was just an AT&T just sucking harder than normal, or if it was this plasma radiation something going on.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
crazy.
sleeping during those hours, so
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you weren't outside, getting shake and bake. Whatever it is.
No. Hey, down there in Florida, man, you don't want to be outside at all anyway. But let alone you probably got zapped this morning.
What down here, you wander around the store and you see everyone. They'll have like this little Band-Aid on their ear, and then a Band-Aid on their forehead, and then a Band-Aid over here. And what that is a whole bunch of cancer or pre-cancer that's been cut out by dermatologists. So
Yeah.
if you come down to Florida and you want to have a really good job and not have to worry about doing anything besides chopping off chunks of people. This is definitely the place to do it.
That's the profession, right?
This is the profession, absolutely. So, kind of going forward, I was telling you before, kind of off air, about someone calling up, it's kind of a friend, acquaintance of mine. They called me up and they said, hey, we had some photos done of our kids. I'm like, why didn't you, come to me? He's like, oh, I didn't realize. And, because the person that I was talking to was working at the gallery where I was showing my fine artwork,
right,
towards the end of last year. So, we became pretty friendly. So anyway, so he called up and he said, listen, I got some work, I got some things, some pictures taken. They looked horrible. And, can you redo them? I'm like, so where'd you go? He went to an agency and he said, well, they charged me $500 a kid. So it was $1,000. And
this was a modeling agency.
This is a modeling agency, or they call it a talent agency.
Oh, a talent agency. Yes. It's more than just posing for pictures. Yes.
That's right. And we'll keep it, we'll leave it as a unknown let's say,
an unknown talent agency.
Yes. One of the finest that we find. And so he went there. He had these, they came out with the little snapshot. They took the little picture and they put it online. Okay, so he's like, okay, so that's good. So they call him back and they said, well, we want your sons to come and bring a bunch of change of clothes, and we're going to go and do a full shoot. So he goes. This was yesterday, and he calls me on the phone, and he's still there. And he's like, Joe, I have a quick question. And he starts going into this stuff. And kind of the skinny of it is they brought him into a room and they say, well, yeah, we're going to do this shoot for your sons now. And did you bring the clothes? Yes, I did. Well, it's going to be $675 each to do the shoot, which would be like a headshot and maybe a couple other shots.
Right.
So he's like, well, what did I just pay you $500 for each child? And he's, oh, well, that's just to be on the site. And he's like, well, on the site, you put a little thumbnail that you took with your point and shoot camera that looks like complete crap. So that's what I paid $500. Well, yeah, that's part of, being involved with the agency.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. Well, so, he calls me and he's like, hey, you do this stuff, right? And I'm like, of course, this is one of my specialties. I do branding, portraiture for models, actors. This, I do a lot of this. He's like, oh, well, so he's still sitting there with this woman. And the woman's like, oh, well, what's that person's website? So I give him the website, Allura MM. And they go, and the woman goes there, and I could hear her in the background. Well, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do like a fashion, type of, shoot.
No, of course not, because you only do professional fashion photography, right? With real models,
Right. Yeah.
You have no idea.
Casts of like, 15 or but no, I don't know if he's gonna, I don't think, I don't know. And then she's like, well, you can go and have him do it, but just, bear in mind, if we don't like the pictures, we're just not going to be able to put them on the site.
No, of course. And I guarantee you, they're not going to like those pictures.
No, but of course not. Of course not. So, so here he is. He spent $500 just to be, now this is each, $1,000. Plus he's going to have to spend another $1,300, $1,400 to actually have these pictures taken, the real pictures. This stuff happens all the time. And if I can tell you how many redos I do every year, you would be amazed. It's just, the industry is just filled with these type of agencies. I would say 80% of the agencies, and I've worked with a lot, I'll leave them all unnamed. This one, of course, is going to go into my blacklist, but the blacklist is very big, and the white list is very short. And honestly, I don't recommend any of them because they come and go like the wind.
Yeah.
And even some of the big reputable ones, sometimes you'll have a bad apple in there, and then they'll kind of screw it up for everyone too. So, the problem that I see with this is not only is this guy, he's now going to have to come to me or someone else and go and have them done properly.
Right.
He already threw $1,000 out. But the problem with this is there's people that are 18, 20, 25 that really do not have $1,000, do not have $500 to go through all this, and then have to go and redo it with someone that is going to really do a good job, and then they spend all of this money.
Well, sure, they're scamming them in. They're getting them to drop that $500 just to get like through the door, and now they want to hit you with another $650. I guarantee you that probably 80% of the people booked in these agencies will never get work. They will tell everybody, oh my God, your model material, you're gorgeous, or you've got that natural, all, average person look that's so popular right now. You'd be perfect. Give us $1,000 and we'll get you on our website, and we'll do a couple point and shoot shots, and we'll throw you in on some white seamless, and have our in-house photographer, who also happens to be the bookkeeper, take some shots of you, and we'll throw that up there, and you'll be golden.
It's really sad. It's really sad. And if anyone is out there listening that's not a photographer, that is a model or an actor, actress, or want to be, do your due diligence when you find someone to take the photos, because you are putting your career in their hands. That's just how it is. Those pictures that you take are your calling cards. Those are the ones that are either going to make you or break you. They're going to get you work, or you're not going to get work. That's just how it is. Now, I think the real bad part of it all, besides the loss of money, I think, it kind of steals or destroys the hopes and aspirations of possible future great models or great actors, because they get into these situations, they look at it, they're like, well, I spent my 500 and I spent my 675, but I'm still getting no work. I must be horrible.
No,
I
yeah,
must be
exactly. Then
horrible.
they feel burned. They're gun shy. They don't want to do it anymore. And now if there was, put it this way, if there's a good agency out there that really sees the potential in you, I mean, not that they'll do everything for free, but they're not going to charge you all kinds of crazy money like that. That's ridiculous. They'll say, well, you need portfolio images. Okay, fine. We recommend, either our in-house photographer who's fantastic, who has an amazing portfolio, or we recommend these photographers, or you get your own photographers, whatever, and they guide you into what type of images you need for your portfolio. Right. They're there as guidance because they know if they do that and you really have something there, they're going to get you work and they're going to make money rather than the onesies and twosies that come in here and pay them their $500 or $600 or $1,000 and
Exactly.
They just kind of bank that money,
That's exactly the case. That is exactly the case. If an agency comes up front and says, we need X to bring you aboard, just turn yourself around and just
walk out the
door.
Just
walk out the door, because the way agencies truly work is they make money when you get work. If you're not getting work, they're not making money.
Right.
The agencies that are asking for money up front, they're making money on you walking through the door, and they're just going to turn and burn you just like the next people, just to bring the money in, and that's it. Take those, I call them fake shots, because the shots that they do are never stellar and they're never about getting you work. It's just about doing something, doing an act, and then just charging. So, I mean, if you can do anything for yourself, just, and the other one thing too, to remember too, is, once you get those headshots, those calling cards, send them out to a whole bunch of agencies. And I always recommend all the models that come into me is don't sign with any of them unless you can have something that's non-exclusive. Don't sign with any of them for a good 6 months, because they're all going to be looking at you, and so many of them will be like, oh yeah, I want you. And then they want you to sign, and now you can have possible, loss on the backside where you could have got some really big stuff.
Yeah.
So give it 6 months.
Yep.
Let it sit there. You don't make a good sauce, in 20 minutes. It takes 2-3 hours to make a good sauce. It's got to simmer.
That's right.
Let it stay out there. Don't be in a rush.
That's right.
I wrote an article about this like 2 years ago or something, or a year and a half ago, over at alluremm.com. If anyone wants to read it, go over there, take a look. I talk about this forever, and this continues to go on. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up today. This happens all the time, and it's sad. It's just absolutely sad. People are getting burnt all the time. And like I said, hopes and aspirations are being thrown in the garbage can because they think that they're a failure. And truthfully, the place that they went to is not only a failure, but they're charlatans.
Yeah.
And this is just, it gives us all a bad name. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, hey, I know you are a Lightroom user. So the big news this week, Lightroom 4 is out of beta, and now it's available for purchase. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I am a Lightroom user. I've been with Lightroom since 1 and all the way up till now. I have played with beta a little bit. I use it on a separate machine. I do not use beta in the studio for any production stuff because God forbid something goes awry. But yes, there is a lot of cool things in Lightroom 4 that I like. I like that they've kind of redone the algorithms a little bit. I like that they're using the latest version of the RAW converter instead of a 2010 RAW converter. They're now using, I think it's 2012, like the very latest and greatest. That helps a lot. You'll see when you bring in your images, there'll be like a little exclamation point with like a triangle thing or whatever, and it says, click here to revert to or to bring your image up to the current process or whatever they say. And when you click there, it's like a magic button. Every time you do this, your image looks better. And the reason that is because they take your settings that you have already put into Lightroom, and then they run it through the new algorithm. And the images, I would say 99% of the time, they look better right out of the can without doing. Yeah, very, very cool. Well, I mean, you have 2 more years of work on, how to get the most out of a raw, ones and zeros file. And they're just getting better and better and better.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of other features. I mean, the highlights, highlight shadow, they're really doing really good stuff with it. Noise reduction is definitely better than it used to be. Of course, I love that. And one of the things I really like too is selective brushes. So your selective brush is not only for, let's say, exposure or whatever. Now you can do selective brush for other things like noise or there's more that you can do selectively instead of using the big broad paintbrush. You can actually get in there and do small, fine editing with these brushes.
Nice.
Which I do like. That's very positive. They got some great new advanced black and white conversions. I mean, we know there's like 2 or 3 companies out there that do phenomenal black and whites. I would have to say Lightroom 4 is starting to get close. They might even have got to where they are.
Yeah, I know. What is it? Nik software. They have that Silver Effects Pro, which does some really beautiful black and white conversions. So it's nice to see, Lightroom bringing more of this kind of in-house now. So maybe you don't really need these other plugins.
I would say it's bad for Nik, good for Lightroom.
It's always good for somebody and bad for somebody else. That's just the way the industry is.
This is how it works. And okay, so how many years we used Noise Ninja and a few other noise programs that were plugins that we would have to use. Now, God, I wouldn't even think about using Noise Ninja or any other plugin because Lightroom's noise, algorithms they do an awesome job. They are just spot on. They're great.
Right.
So yeah, is it something that you should go jump into right away? I think yes. I think there's enough there. There's definitely speed. There's performance things that I would say it's worth jumping in on. The price is right. I mean, you can upgrade. I think it's like $79 or something like that. And that is obviously because they're keeping in line with Aperture. As Aperture moved into the the app world, at that lower cost, they really need to kind of stick with their guns. I remember when Aperture was like $500, $499, and then it went to
it was crazy in the beginning. Yeah,
yeah. And then it went to $299, and then $199, and then so they need to be on kind of an even playing field. I still think that between the two, and I have them both, Lightroom is light years apart. I just like it. It's a really good damn software. It works good for digital asset management, as well as all of your photo correction and linking in so seamlessly with Photoshop and other programs that HDR software and others. It just works. It works, and it works well. And now they have the ability that you can take a look at movies and videos on there, trim tail, trim head, pull out, stills and little stuff like that, slight corrections and stuff. Nothing crazy.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. It's a little something.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. If you're shooting a lot of image and you need that cataloging ability, having a program like that really is very beneficial. For me, I don't really shoot high volumes of images. So for me, I don't really need Lightroom or Aperture. I pretty much take care of what I need to do in Photoshop. But I mean, I've spent the past, 18 years in Photoshop. So that's kind of my thing anyway. So, rather than reinventing the wheel for what I do, really don't need to do that. So, It looks interesting. Might be worth people taking a look at to upgrade. Yeah,
I would say go take a look.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, before we get on to our next big subject of the week, let's take a minute to thank this week's sponsor, Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your DSLR camera. If you want to make the absolute sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your DSLR's focusing system. Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick, easy, and cost-effective at an amazing price. So head over to focuspyramid.com and pick up yours today. Be sure to enter promo code DPC at checkout and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
Awesome. Sounds good. Gotta love the 10%.
Yep, every little bit helps.
That's for sure. So, kind of moving on. Of course, the monster news for for the week, or it seems like for this whole first quarter is, of course, iPad.
Yeah. Last week was the 5D Mark III. This week, it's the new iPad, not the iPad 3, right?
Are these people, they lost their mind?
I don't get it.
I don't. Is it? It's not an iPad 3.
No.
It's not an iPad HD.
No.
Maybe since it's a Retina display now, should it be the iPad Vision?
Right.
Or something.
No. It's the new iPad.
The new.
So what
iPad.
is the next iPad going to be? The next new iPad?
It's funny that you say that. I'm going to say that, once again, I'm making my predictions. I always do. I'm going to say there won't be another iPad. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous.
iPad.
Yeah. But I think what will happen is okay, maybe it won't be called an iPad, or maybe it will go into Gen 3, or maybe they're going to have to change it up a little bit.
Have to.
Because just think about that. Okay, so I own an iPad 1, or I own an iPad 2. I own the new iPad. So when the new one comes out, you're going to say, I own the new iPad.
I own the old
but not
new
the
iPad.
Yeah, the old new one. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the naming convention doesn't work. The iPhone was the iPhone 2, iPhone 3, 4, 4S, all that stuff. Maybe they just wanted to break the number convention. Maybe they wanted to move on. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, something's going to be changing. I have a feeling the next generation is going to be something either named differently or the same name, but it's going to change from this 1, 2, 3 naming type thing.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned that Retina display. This display is amazing.
Sick.
It is sick. We're
Looks like
talking
liquid.
2048 pixels by 1536, right? At 264 pixels per inch. That's just nuts. That's like a computer monitor resolution. That's amazing.
Well, just think about that too. It used to be, 132 pixels per inch PPI, right? Then now it's double. It's 264. Just think about what a photograph
in the
is.
same format, the same 9.7 inch diagonal. That's all. It's incredible.
So print in itself has always been 300 PPI, right?
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So now you're sitting at print. They're saying that if you hold this thing 15 inches away, there's no way for your eye to discern a single pixel on the entire.
Right. Now it looks continuous tone, like a printed photograph. And that to me is just incredible. That's amazing. I know my wife has the iPhone 4S with the Retina, and that display is amazing. You cannot see dots. Now I still have the 3S. I've been holding out for the next iPhone. I'm like dying here,
Oh,
She's got this beautiful phone.
know.
I've got this clunker, but nonetheless, that phone is amazing. So I can imagine, basically, right? This new iPad is basically 4 of those iPhone 4S's put together as far as the resolution goes.
That's exactly what it is. And, and that kind of comes into the chipset.
Yeah, right.
Now,
yep.
you're right. The 4S was, the A5 chipset in the 4S. Well, now they have the A5X, and the X basically stands for quad. So it's a quad core A5. Just think about this. But now if you rationalize that, if you have 4 4S's side by side, of course you would need 4 core to run them all, right?
Sure.
So my mindset says, yeah, it's an A5 chip X, right? Which is the quad core. You're getting better graphics because it is a graphic chip,
right?
But I just don't see you getting that much more in snappiness or in speed on this.
No,
thing.
yeah, you're probably,
the
user experience from, I have the original iPad. I don't have the iPad 2, but the feel is that the user experience on the iPad 2 is very good. So now increasing that screen resolution like that, obviously needing a faster processor to run that screen makes sense. You probably won't see a speed up of performance, but what you're going to get is incredible graphics. Now these game manufacturers, this thing will play 1080p full HD video. That's crazy. And something so small. Before it was 720 and it was, it looked good, but whatever. This is going to look even better.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And they were talking about, 44% increase in color saturation. So that, that's always nice because you get a deeper, richer look. And just by the look of it at the keynote, it looks nice. It looks nice.
Right.
It's one of those things that, would I jump into it? Yeah. I look at it as, what are all the positives? Well, it has it's got the LTE. So you have the 4G, the faster network, which is awesome. You have the Retina display, which is sick.
That's sick. That's the biggest selling point, I think, in my opinion.
I think that, Then they increase the camera a little bit to 5 megapixels.
I don't get that.
What happened?
Yeah,
you're
the
sitting with an
iPhone
8.
4S is 8 megapixels. Why wouldn't you put at least the same camera in it? I don't know. I think Apple really wants to keep the iPhone as kind of like the top dog, the top iOS device out there. And I'm imagining the iPhone 5, rumors are the bigger screen, obviously a Retina display, probably a better camera. So, and if it has this this A5X chip in it, it's now that you will see faster performance because your screen resolution is smaller. The overall screen is smaller. So then now you've got a really fantastic piece of hardware. So, maybe that's what they're talking about. Maybe their thought is they want to keep the iPhone as the top dog and the iPad is kind of next in line. And that's the reason for the 5 megapixel. I don't know.
Yeah. It does have some rather cool stuff. It has basically all of the iLife software in there, which is really great. But I think the negatives for me is, what happened to Siri? It would be
minimal
nice.
Voice recognition type stuff. Yeah.
Now it does have voice recognition in it to, instead of, not only can you type, but you can push on the microphone, speak into it, and it'll dictate. It'll convert it through voice recognition. But it has that, but no Siri. That I don't understand at all. Especially if you have an LTE possible built in. That's fast. My idea to that is they just do not have the servers to even handle Siri as it is now. That if they went and rolled out, 5 million iPads or some crazy number, that Siri, that their entire infrastructure would just collapse.
Well, yeah, that could be. The other thing I was thinking about that too is that only you have the 4G LTE version, which basically gives you data access all the time, no matter where you are. But if you are only on a Wi-Fi only version and you're not at a Wi-Fi connection, the full-blown features of Siri, like, accessing the internet and things like that for information, accessing for weather, all that other stuff that is so cool about Siri is not going to work.
Right.
It's just not going to work without a data connection. So that may be why they don't have that in this new iPad.
Right. And, I guess looking at it as a photographer and kind of spinning it in that direction, 2048, fantastic.
An amazing
that is where you need to
portfolio device. Yeah.
My portfolio that I created, and we talked about this probably 10, 15 shows ago.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
Yeah, it's got to be a while ago.
Folio
I made
books, right? That's what you were using?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Folio books. Great software. You should put a link to them in the show notes. They're awesome.
Yeah, it really is. I use it too for the graphics stuff.
Yeah, and I created all the images back then at 2048. That was back then. Mm-hmm. And my idea is you can pinch in and blow up something that's the 1024 into double. So you would be able to see it. Yep. Right. So when you blew it up and zoomed in, you would actually see it and it's not pixelated at all. So my images for the portfolio are going to directly drop right into this device.
Yep.
Now, going forward, if you guys haven't created a portfolio yet, I would recommend you do a 4096. That's 4096 pixels.
Sure.
Basically what I did before, what you should do is do that now. So you're doubling what the resolution is. It's 2048 now. Make some 4096. So if you pinch in, everything is rock solid. I can't even imagine a 4096 image on this
That's
thing.
that's a huge
you're getting,
file. I mean, that's almost straight out of a lot of cameras,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're getting basically, 12 meg. You're getting crazy images at that point, and being close to 300 ppi, it's like taking and giving someone close to an 8x10.
Yeah,
it's sick.
Yeah,
a liquid 8x10.
Yeah.
So then the other side of that is saturation, gamut. I don't know if the gamut has changed, if the gamut is larger, but they're saying 44% better or greater saturation. That's great. The images just look better. This is an absolute perfect device for a portfolio. I think the iPad 1 is a perfect device. 2, and now this one,
the even nicer. Yeah.
The new
the new iPad.
The new and improved iPad is by far the best. I mean, what a portfolio. Instead of, remember the old, leather case we used to carry around?
Yeah.
Now you
That's
bring
long
this
gone.
little,
I ditched that.
now you bring this little thin window to your world, to your portfolio, and they can just swipe through it, and it's like just liquid butter, beautiful, nasty, crazy. It's just great.
Another opportunity here too is using it as a proofing device when you're shooting. Being able to bring, because now they have iPhoto for the iOS devices, which they came out with. So that's really cool. That's another option. What I would be concerned about is the saturation, because that's going to. It's going to be too much. I think it's not going to be realistic to what you're actually shooting. So, it may be great for proofing while you're shooting, if you're shooting tethered and you can bring these images in, that type of thing. But calibration is important. And actually, when we were in Vegas at WPPI, we met with Datacolor, and they have their new Spider 4 out, and the Spider 4 will actually let you calibrate your iPad. So, which is really interesting. Now, it doesn't provide a system-wide color calibration. It only provides an application color calibration. So what they have is a built-in photo viewer. So you could take your photos, load them into their photo viewer, which is now calibrated, and it will look more right on. We did talk to him, and he said that what they're working on doing is releasing, an API. So third-party app developers, somebody like Folio Books or any on-one software or anybody that makes these tethered shooting solutions even, can utilize their API, and people can actually get the Spider 4, calibrate the iPad, and now you truly do have a good proofing solution without needing the laptop.
Yeah, and don't forget the photo stream and iCloud. If you marry these two up, and the idea that you can take a picture on your iPhone right now and it shows up on your computer and it shows up on your iPad, that's really, really cool. And, my mind is just moving on all the different things that I can do with iCloud. And I mean, I can see sitting here in the studio, shooting, bringing some in, maybe shooting RAW and JPEG, bringing them straight up into the cloud. And now someone could be sitting on the couch over there and with the iPad going through all of the shots and saying, you know what? Yeah, number 136, 152.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, you could do that with Wi-Fi, but you say the cloud. I mean, with iCloud, you could be shooting and I could see something popping up here on my iPad up by New York. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not going to be real time, of course. There's going to be a delay there. But in theory, the whole synchronization of these images, I mean, people around the world, in theory, could almost see your photo shoots in real time.
Yeah, just think of an art director, let's say I'm
absolutely.
shooting in Miami, art director's in Manhattan, and he wants to see what's going on. He could be seeing stuff on the fly. He can be like, you know what, could you go ahead and take that product, move it to the right about 3 feet, and let's go ahead and bring the model in a little bit closer, and I want to see the dress wrap around the product. Okay, done.
Right, boom, and now they see
stuff
the
like that.
image.
You could not do that. As well, let's say. Because remember, even if you have a video camera in the location taking a picture, that camera is not seeing the exact same image that the camera is seeing. It's going to be a completely different angle.
It's going to be different.
The art director would actually be able to see exactly what you're getting kind of as you get it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I tell you, we always talk about technology and stuff, and sometimes it works for us, sometimes it doesn't, but It's just really cool to see how things are changing. So,
Absolutely.
but anyway,
So,
what do you think,
all right,
Joe?
Trev,
Is it that time?
we need to get out of here. I
Yeah,
know
it's that time.
we're running over like always here, and
Yeah.
I think I'm
So
gonna
let's thank everybody for joining us. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like discussed on the show, send us a message to our website at digitalphotographycafe.com, or you can connect with us on Twitter at dphotocafe. If you enjoy the show, we encourage you to subscribe for free in iTunes or via RSS and have them delivered to your computer automatically. So, Joe, if people want to learn more about what you're doing, how can they connect with you?
All right, Trev, they can find me on the website. That's alluremm.com. On Twitter, that's at Joseph Cristina, and that's Cristina without an H. On Facebook, that's facebook.com/alluremm, and Google+. Go to gplusjc.com.
Great. And you can keep up with me on Twitter at Trevor Current and on Google Plus by going to gplustc.com. And of course, check out our website at currentphotographer.com and facebook.com/currentphotographer.
So, all right, Trev, as always, great show. Great show. I'd like to thank the listeners for their continued support. If you enjoy the show, why not buy your caffeine-addicted host a cup of coffee? We've added a tip jar to the website, so please consider making a donation. If you're listening on the go, fear not. Everything that we discussed during this week's show can easily be found in your show notes on the website, digitalphotographycafe.com. Once again, keep your questions and comments coming, and we'll talk to you next week.